Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday Build Show. I'm your host, Ben Estrino, over here at the Empower Gaming Computer Studio, and today we're going to be building another PC. Another one. Sorry, I have no green screen. Hey, what's up, Trey? How's it going, man? We're getting into building some PCs tonight. Wanted to start the stream a little earlier, but with the current demand and just craziness, I've been trying to get to the stream all day. Oh, hey, Tyrion. How's it going? Yep, I figured that was you. I got your stuff over here. We're still waiting on that case. So we're just waiting on that case, and then we could do your build too. So that'll probably be this weekend. I've got a lot of builds landing all at the same time, which is weird how it always works out. It always works out like there's no builds for a little while, and then all of a sudden there's just a ton of builds all at once. And I don't know why it works out that way, but it does. And you know, I'm happy to have the builds. It's just slows things down when there's a ton of them. So anyway, I'm kind of anticipating this to be kind of the entry into the holiday season, as we are doing more and more builds. So you should see more and more of these streams going forward, at least until the end of the year. Because overall, it's just going to get crazier. The closer and closer we get to the holiday, it gets crazier and crazier. But today, we're going to be doing a build for Jordan. Today, we're building for Jordan. Jordan, I think his sister purchased a PC from us before, and she directed him to us for a new gaming PC. So we're putting this PC together for him. It's an awesome build. We were able to snipe one of the last few bundles that we could get with the i7 and a Z690 motherboard. These bundles are actually really hard to get now. In fact, I don't think you can get them at the price that they were selling them, which I think was like $350 for, you know, an i7 12700K and a Z690 with RAM. We ended up getting different RAM for this system specifically. We have two 16 gigs, which is I think a total of 32 for this build. Yes. So we have the two 16 gig sticks at 3200 megahertz DDR4, totaling out to 32 gigs, along with the i7 12700K, which has 12 cores and 20 threads at a 5.0 gigahertz max turbo out of the box. We do have the thermal rate, just like any LGA 1700 build we do. We always use the contact frame, and then we'll be using some thermal Grizzly Cryonaut thermal paste I have over here. And then this was supposed to be an MSI Pro Series Z690. They were out of those, and I was able to get a little bit of an upgrade from the Pro Series motherboard to an Aurorus gaming motherboard. So it's actually a pretty big upgrade in the motherboard, at least for the cooling. This is the Aurorus Gigabyte Aurorus Elite Z690. Which is DDR4, supports DDR4. And then we also have a 2 terabyte M.2 SSD at Gen 4 speeds, so it's going to be super fast. I know we originally quoted Silicon Power, but we ended up with a T-Force by Team Group, which is also a great SSD for the speeds. And then we're going to be doing an RTX 3060, and it's because I think he was mostly into more of the editing than he was going to be doing gaming, but he was going to do some gaming on there. So the RTX 3060 was the card that we squeezed in there, but we primarily focused on CPU and memory and storage horsepower, so to speak. With that, we do have a Thermalright 360 millimeter AIO we're going to be building with today, as well as the case, which is a Montech Air 903 Max, or Max 903. 903 Max? 903 Air 903 Max. And it's all in white. So we have a white theme going, as you can see. RAM, we went with white, or as much as possible. And then we also have 750 watt bronze power supply that we're going to be working with today. Though I did have to go a little bit lighter on some of those components to make the i7 work, but I really wanted him on this i7 platform. I would have probably preferred to go gold on the power supply, but it does have an extra like $40 or $50 premium there, and it just wasn't going to fit in the budget overall. So, but overall, it's still a great power supply. It's going to last a long time, and it's warranted. So if there's any issues, and without further ado, you guys want to build a PC? Let's do it. Let's go to the top-down view and see what we got on the table. Here we go. Some of the starting points. We've got the motherboard, the CPU, and the RAM to start with. So that's going to be what we're starting with, is the CPU, the motherboard, the RAM, and the SSD. We can kind of zoom in a little bit. We don't have to be that far zoomed out. There you go. The old Logitech Rally camera. With that crisp view. All right, so we got the Gigabyte motherboard. We're going to start with getting the CPU mounted. We won't need the graphics card right away, so I'm going to set this aside. I've already got some of this unpackaged. I was going through it, getting ready for the stream. Saves me a little bit of time. So let's go ahead and start with getting this CPU on the motherboard. Cover up those pins and protect them. All right, let's pull this mic in a little bit. Here we go. All right, so the socket is open. See all the 5 billion pins that are there. We're going to drop this Intel i7 CPU into the socket gently. Bad boy here. And I say very gently, drop it into the socket. And now it's covering the pins and protecting them so we could get our LGA 1700 contact frame by Thermalright out of its box. We're going to remove the old brackets here and replace it with the contact frame. This thing's going to look pretty badass when it's done. Alright, so now that we got the old brackets removed, we're going to drop the contact frame over the CPU, lined up with the holes, and we're going to drop the screws in there. And then we'll start tightening them down and move on to the RAM. Alright, so now that that's done, we can move on to the RAM. The CPU is socketed, or mounted. I don't know the correct term anymore. Still a socket, so I guess it's in the socket. Socketed. So we'll move on to the 32 gigs of DDR4 3200 megahertz CL16 memory by PNY. This is part of their Accelerate series. Has fashionable white heat sinks along with addressable RGB on the top. And timing for DDR4 and decent enough speed to handle or to help this Intel CPU. Accelerate logo on the bottom for this kit. But 32 gigs is going to be more than enough for what he's going to be doing. But we did want to go as heavy as we could with the RAM and the CPU. Almost went DDR5. Wasn't enough wiggle room in the budget. DDR5 is just a little bit more expensive. Motherboards are a little more expensive, along with RAM itself being a little bit. All right, and then our 2 terabyte Gen 4 M.2 SSD. Gen 4. I think this one has read rates 5,000. For Gen 4, I really don't go anything below that, so probably what somebody wants to go online and look it up real quick. It's the Team Group T-Force Carter. Got a nice thermal pad, both the bottom and top of it. Help dissipate some of that heat. You have to get an M.2 screw out. Right. I don't know if this is actually... Oh. I had to tear down a 3090 earlier. Or is that part of this? Part of this. Why is it lined up perfectly? Okay. That actually does cover up one of the mounting holes, so I'm going to keep this off until we get it in the case, and we'll put this on. Fortunately, covers up one of the mounting holes there that we're going to need access to when we put the board in. Alright, so next we probably want to take care of the mounting hardware for the cooler. Get rid of some of these peels so I don't forget them. You leave a peel on there, it'll eventually melt and smell like burning plastic. I like to leave them on there. Especially this chunk of metal gets kind of warm, PRMs. It's really best to take the time and peel them all off. Now, some people don't do that. Yes. not very good at peels. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. With that being done, let's go ahead and get the mounting hardware. This going. Or get the mounting hardware on the motherboard. So I don't like dealing with it when it's in the case. Try to get as much done as you can outside of the case. This cooler's by Thermalright, the 360 mil. We got our LGA 1700 brackets. Drop it on there like so. Then we'll flip it over. And add our little studs. These kind of secure it in place, keep it from falling out, as well as support the tension for the cooler on the CPU. Alright, so we're pretty much ready to get the motherboard, or the... How long it take you to understand everything about a PC build? I don't know, I've been probably building PC well over, probably over 12, 13, maybe even 15 years now. Let me get this case out. Wipe me. All right. Got our case. This is the Montech 903 or Air 903 Max. Was it hard? I'd say over time you just build your knowledge based on experience, and as you're doing it, you learn more. So the more you do it, the more you learn, I guess is the best way to put it. But this is the Montech Air 903 Max. Features a glass side panel, front mesh on the front. We got some really good airflow here, and it's actually super easy to clean this thing as it gets dirty over time. This mesh can come off pretty easily. I say that, and it's not coming off for me. There we go. So you could remove this very easily and clean it, and then put it back on when you're done. So it makes maintenance super simple in the future. This one is in white. It also has a space for a large graphics card. You put a very large, wide card in here, as the case is wide. And then it also can support 140 millimeter fans on the rear, which I really like, and also includes the 140 millimeter fan on the rear, as well as 3 addressable RGB PWM fans on the front, and can support a 360 millimeter AIO at the top of the case, which is really important for today's bigger CPUs. So I kind of look for target cases that have the AIO support on the top, and usually it comes down to really just the space between top case and where the motherboard, top of the motherboard. So that's what you kind of want to target today for some of today's bigger hardware. For the best results, anyway. I wouldn't say it was hard learning. You know, once you start understanding the language of, you know, socket types and things, and you'll be able to put, you know, 2 and 2 together there. It takes a little bit of time to, and, you know, as long as you're doing it on a daily basis, you'll it'll be like a second language. Kind of understand it from there, learn it. Alright, so let's drop the motherboard in here. We've got all of our studs in the right places here for an ATX motherboard, because we have an ATX motherboard here. So we don't have a I/O shield to install because this one's already on the motherboard, as should be on higher end boards. We'll just line it up for the line it up to the studs with its mounting holes, and then we'll get the main screws, mainboard hardware out, case hardware, and start screwing this in. And the white case features silver screws. Black cases feature black screws, which is a cool just detail that Montech follows, similar to Leon Lee and some other premium brands. Just a little detail I like to point out for case manufacturers. That stuff matters. The little things. Motherboard. Hang up perfectly here, but get it. Right. Need 2 more screws. Total of 9 screws to hold an ATX motherboard down, or not hold it down, but mount it. There's 9 mounting points, and you want to make sure you put all the screws in because they do act as grounds, I believe, or help with the grounds. I've never actually tested that theory, but I have seen motherboards do weird things without all their studs in place. You definitely don't want studs in the wrong place inside a case. That's one thing you don't want, because touching the board somewhere where it's not supposed to, definitely going to cause some issues. In fact, it can burn out your board, because something that is running electricity through it may be touching where it's grounding on the stud, and could be dumping electricity there, or shorting something on the board. So, always be careful of your studs. Okay, moving on. It was a stupid dad joke, I'm sorry. Alright, so let's get the, let's start working on the cooler here. We do have to rotate these fans, because right now the cables are going to be facing us, which we want it facing the back. Okay, installed by Thermalright. We'll just unscrew these, and once we get these rotated, we'll undo all the twist ties to all of the cables, you see here. need them loosened up or loose. We can shove them through the back holes there. Once we get them out this way. Oh yeah. Now we just gotta undo all these twist ties. Everybody knows how much I love twist ties. Love them. Maybe I should probably do these before the stream so I don't have to complain about the twist ties and stuff. Have all this done. Makes the build go faster. But I want you guys to suffer through it with me. Right? No? Great. Now, sit here and fight this thing as we try to push all these cables through the back hole here. This can sometimes be a challenge. Have fingers in. Okay. I'm sure there's easier ways to do this, but for the sake of everybody laughing at me, I'll do it this way. Alright, then I start the two corners here, so it kind of holds in place so I can get the rest of them. We're just putting these screws in here to mount the radiator to the top of the case. No, you don't necessarily need to use all the screws. For aesthetic purposes, I'm just putting them all in. Okay. Go. Not too shabby, right? We get our AIO plugged in or installed. Pump's fine. That it's almost impossible to draw air through the pump, because that's what kills a pump generally, is air. It's because it's liquid. Alright, so what's our actual pump? Option, fan, pump.
Pump, where are you? Where are you, pump?
Huh. Option. Cord. Screw that. Option. We'll run that like the pump in the BIOS. There we go. AIO installed. The pump and the CPU fans are plugged in to the right headers. All we gotta do is pull this bad boy off. Copper block. And put the bracket on. We're ready to paste it up and install this block on the CPU. And this cable is for the addressable RGB on the block itself that's over the top of the seat here. Pulls the RGB here. So we can send it back. We'll tie it in with the front to the back side. It as much front side as possible. We'll get it tidied up later. All right, there we go. We've got the cooler installed for the CPU. Got the motherboard installed with the CPU RAM, the SSD. Guess we should probably put the SSD splitter back on. Board's installed and cover up that hole. I don't know why motherboard manufacturers do that. Some of them take the time to route the holes through the plate so you can screw it or install it with the heat spreader on. Some of them don't. I'll never understand why. Now on to the fun stuff. Some of the cables. Heard the sarcasm in my voice there, right? Oh, come on. Release. Let go. All right. So this is some of the fun stuff we get to deal with. We just got to sort through some of this and kind of route the cables where we want them to go. For example, all of these, I think we want to send them down this way. I'm pretty sure that is the majority. Going to be the majority there. USB 3 and C, those are probably going to be up most of the time. They are on boards, or most modern boards. Right. Connection I'm plugging in right. And then the USB 3.0 connection. Front panel USB 3.0 here. Again, these connections will really only be really can't mess those up. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, guys. Alright, so back to it. We've got our USB-C, USB 3 plugged in, and now we want to plug in the rest of this crap. I mean stuff. Addressable RGB there, HD audio, and fans. Where's our front panel? Front panel is also there. Alright, so now what we're plugging in is the fan, for the case fans here, and also the reset, the power button, and LED lights for the power switch, indicating that there's power for the system, and hard drive activity light. Now there's no hard drives, it still indicates when there's activity on an SSD. If you don't know the pin layout for these, they are located in your motherboard manual. If you don't have a motherboard manual, it'll be available on the manufacturer's website for your motherboard. And they're pretty much a standard now. About the same for every board. Sometimes some boards, like this one for example, has some extra pin layouts for additional things like speakers, even though there are really, truly, rarely any speakers in any PC anymore. But that would have been to diagnose the PC if there was a problem. The beeps would give you beep codes, and you'd be able to identify problems with those codes. For example, beep, 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 beep would tell you no CPU, and beep, beep, vice versa, maybe. I'm wrong. But different beep codes would give you different problems that you'd be able to identify without seeing anything. But we're pretty well past that time. Don't really have those issues anymore, and most boards will have LED indicators telling you what the problem is using LED instead of beep codes now. So, there you go. A little history lesson on... Back in my day, we had to listen for our beep codes. Alright, Grandpa. So I'm going to run all this RGB from the cooler onto the hub here. Because it does have external power, and I like that, because I think it'll help save that power draw on the motherboard, since it's using the hub. Using the hub for power, using SATA for power. Good. And it'll be all synced up with one another. It'll be one. Truly one. Yeah. Wouldn't let go. Bruh. We'll probably run a zip tie or two up there. Up a little bit. And there we go. Maybe another zip tie here just to clean this up. Like ass. All right. There you go. Okay. We went with white sleeved cables for this one. Sneak these in here after we pin them up, or cable extender them up. What I'm doing is putting cable combs, comb them up, excuse me, cable combs on the cable extensions. These are just for purely aesthetics, has nothing to do with performance. Makes the build look a lot cleaner and aesthetically pleasing rather than looking at black cables in white build. Also, in some cases, cheaper than buying a power supply with white cables. But these are also, not only are they white, but they look cool. So it's, once again, purely aesthetic. Not something that's required. It does not help performance at all. Now, there's a big debate that it actually helps FPS just like RGB does. It increases your FPS. There's a debate. But I'm going to call that fiction, not help your FPS by having sleeved cables or more RGB. So, I said it. RGB does not help your FPS. Fictional. Right. Got the 24 pin in. Now we just need to do the 2 EPS cables for the CPU power, which are 2 8-pin connections. We're only going to be using 1 8-pin and 1 4-pin. Board only has the 8-pin plus the 4-pin. So we're going to plug in both so that CPU overclocking is a option for him without having to plug in an additional cable. Wanted to go down that route and get it tuned. Be ready. There we go. That looks clean, right? Alright, so one of the last things is to drop the card in and install the power supply. Yes. Building. Building. Dirty. And then. Dinner. coins? Pardon me. All right, let's get this power supply installed. Oh, here we go. Hmm. Broken? Broken? Doesn't look like a broken nail. Go anywhere with it. I need to be able to find it when I need it. Or Dindin? Alright, so this power supply is a 750 watt, 80 plus bronze. Like I said before, I did want to try to go gold with it, but we couldn't fit it. Either way, this power supply is going to last a while. Not really worried about it. I've used these quite a bit past. You've seen my streams before. Still haven't had a problem with them. Little diehards. Not as efficient, but for the price, can't be beat. And this thing could actually run up to a RTX 4070 if you wanted it to. Those things are super efficient on power. Alright, so back door entry, or a side door entry, not back door. Power supply. Place 4 screws on the back will secure. And then we plug in our extensions to our power supply. If you buy cheaper extensions, always make sure that nothing popped out. Because sometimes when you push this in, the pins don't all line up and one of these may pop out. Always keep that in mind if you buy cheap extensions, which these are, you know, middle of the road. They don't really do that. If you buy cheap extensions, keep that in mind. Keep an eye on it when you go to plug it in. Yeah. Okay. So we'll just kind of tidy up those cables a little bit there, a little more. I mean, not much we can do there. Locate the power. The CPU power should be. I don't normally. Didn't know that. I don't use. I might be swapping this power supply. Most likely. And then I'll leave those cables loose because if anything comes apart and pull it away, I want them to be able to give. I want them to be tight. Like gank, gank. Break. Okay, so here we have remaining power supply cables that are on the semi-modular power supply. Yes, it is semi-modular. I want these cables in here because I have too many people do upgrades and then tell me that they threw away their cables, didn't have them anymore. So, for the most part, for modular and semi-modular, unless it's a unique build, I am putting it in the case. Attach to the power supply where they will not get lost. Go. Hit some. I'll flip it over, fire it up, and see how it fires up. And I just dropped it. Right. That has not happened in a long time. All right, back panel. Pretty cool looking. Somebody should have said something. Camera wasn't focused. Alright, so let's clean up some of this crap and then we'll get this plugged in. Fire it up. All of this hardware, extra hardware from the build, they're always included with the PC. So if he ever does any upgrades in the future, he can always use the hardware that's included, be able to install anything in the future. Okay, plug it in and fire it up. And then we'll get Windows going on it, and also BIOS update. That needs to be done before it's ready to go. This one's a local pickup. All right, who's ready to see this thing fired up for the first time ever? Adjust the camera a little bit. Me? Awesome. Thanks for hanging out that whole time, man. We're an hour and 15 minutes in with a little bit of a distraction. Not bad. Something very important. Hold on. Okay. Nobody cares. Totally meant to do. I meant to do that. Totally meant to do that. Wanted to, oh no, it doesn't work. Moment. White belt. There we go. Look at how clean that white is. And we got a post. We look over there at the screen. We're posted up. So, Windows time. We're going with a Windows 11 Pro. Oh, by the way, this could do that. All sorts of cool things. I'm using the RGB controller that's in the back there right now for this. There we go. There's your cool rainbow. Woo. We'll be able to do the software control once we get into Windows and get the software installed. Or it's going to be the poop orange from Gigabyte, which is their default color when you first fire it up. But we posted up immediately, and everything seems to be running really nicely as of right now. We'll have to go through and put it through the test. But we do all that after we get Windows installed and all that. So, PC done. Built anyway. We will do the rest of it off stream, but for the most part, Jordan's probably looking forward to get this thing picked up, which he'll probably be able to pick up tomorrow sometime. So Jordan, if you are watching, be ready, be on the lookout for an email or a call or a text. Usually it's email for the pickup. And then you get to enjoy your new PC, man. Congratulations. It's a white PC. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. I appreciate everybody. Trey, for hanging out that whole time. Thank you. I don't know if anybody else was watching. It's kind of an awkward time for me to stream. Usually do way better earlier in the day when everybody's at work and bored. But again, thanks, guys. Have a good night. We'll see you next time. Tomorrow's build, Brendan, right? I've got a special Canadian build tomorrow. You too. Thanks, Trey. Hopefully that case shows up, and then we can get your build going this weekend. I think the case is actually showing up tomorrow. Last time I checked the tracking, so we should be doing your build either Friday late evening or Saturday on the stream. And then we should have it ready for pickup by Sunday for you, Trey. All right? All right, guys. Again, have a good night. We'll see you on the next one tomorrow. We do have another stream tomorrow. Come hang out again. We'll see you guys. Have a good night.